As the cool season starts to creep up, and when we say cool season, you know what we mean. Frost starts to creep up. Batavia's already wearing a jacket. Crazy.
2 layers.
Yeah. So this is, do you think this is last call?
For most,
It's
yes.
getting mighty close to last
Yeah.
call. And what we're referring to here is direct sowable seeds. So these are seeds that will produce by your first frost date. If you put them in the ground, stat means now. Because like I said, we're running out of time quick. What are you doing?
I'm looking to see when I direct sowed some
I knew
things
you were. I knew that's what you
and
were doing.
and how that wasn't soon enough. So, but I do have a version of direct sowing some things that was plenty of time. But yes, yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So these will be the quicker. I mean, look, in the grand scheme of things, you can direct sow anything, but it's not at any time. And this is really going to help us to, understand that as we get closer and we march closer and closer, these are more fast growing crops, I would say.
yeah. It's a good example of the reason why some things are recommended for transplanting versus direct sowing. It's not always just because the plant prefers, doesn't like to be transplanted. It's not that. It's similar to if you go back to summer, the reason why most people transplant pepper plants. Like you,
Yeah.
you need that head start. Now, these direct sowables, you don't. They're going to turn around in enough time and quick enough to allow you to still be able to enjoy them, even if you finish this episode and go out and sow some things right now.
Right.
Right now.
Right now. Go. Actually, you know what? Take us with you and just go
Yeah, man.
direct sow as we. I mean, what are we talking about here? Come on,
No, that's a
people.
way.
That's the whole design of the show, really.
We're mobile. Yeah.
Mobile, baby, mobile. So, well, look, I know I forgot last time, but I'm not going to forget this time. Welcome back to the Backyard Gardens podcast, everybody. I am your host, Ben, and I am with my co-host, Batavia. If you'd like to support the show, you may do so by becoming an Apple subscriber, a patron. Check out our Amazon list below. All the products we use, we're not sponsored by any of them. We just use them and like them and think you would like them as well. You can check us out on YouTube. We'd love to see you there. And also buy some seeds from us. The link is below. If you buy a minimum of 2 packs of seeds, you get a free pack of seeds. So come buy some seeds from us. Start stocking up. Just so you know, I usually buy all my seeds by November for the next year. So there's that.
I wish I could say the same. That's the best approach.
Well,
Yeah.
our seasons are totally different. So
Well, yeah, but it's the late December, early January. Like, wait a minute. And I'm also getting to the place of some seeds. I probably had the most failure for sowing seeds, both inside and direct sowing them based on old seeds, is what I'm imagining. So gosh, I don't want to do an inventory, but I kind of feel like it's time to do an inventory.
I've been doing that for the past 2 years. I've been going through and just saying, you know what? I'm not going to buy the seed. I'm not going to replace it. I'm just going to plant it.
Hmm.
I finally, like, my seed collection is like I never gardened almost. There's hardly anything in there. And I finally got my rutabagas this year did not germinate because they were so old. So I had to turn around and buy them. So it was, I was getting out of control. I had so many packs of seeds and I'm trying to be better about it, but we'll get into that in
Yeah.
another episode if you know what I'm saying.
Well, I mean, age and then the conditions. Sometimes, my seeds are sitting in the kitchen,
Oh, yeah.
for weeks and weeks and weeks. And we know how hot and humid a kitchen can be, So, some of these things aren't in the most ideal scenarios as far as storage, but I'm going to go ahead and blame age on some things. So, yeah, yeah.
I don't store my seeds any special way. Just so you know,
Mm.
no special way at all. They go in a box and it goes wherever that box ends up is where it sits. It could be in the kitchen, could be by the back door, doesn't matter.
Mhm.
And my rutabaga seeds were 5 years old before they gave out on me. So
Yeah, yeah. I
there you
mean,
go.
I'd love a lifetime, but that's just not realistic,
Yeah.
know?
Okay, so when we get into direct sowing seeds, as we go through our list, so this is off the cuff for both of us, which I mean, I have a rough list in my mind. Want to keep in mind that we've got, what do you say, roughly 6 weeks?
Most people have about 6 weeks. Yeah.
Roughly, I mean, yeah, obviously some people are going to have a month, some people, whatever.
Yeah.
But the idea with all of these seeds that we're going to give you is they're all going to be frost tolerant to a degree, meaning just because your first frost date's in 6 weeks does not mean that in 6 weeks that's all she wrote. It means you can still have time, but we want to get these seeds in the ground now to get them up and going and get them established, their root systems established. So if they do take some damage, they can recover from it and continue to grow their growth cycle throughout your frost dates.
Yep.
Well said?
Yeah. I mean,
yeah, kind of.
It's accurate.
It could have been better. All right, Batavius. In true fashion of the Backyard Gardens podcast, every moment that you hate is when I say, ladies first. Go.
No, I thought you were going to try to steal the first one just based on kind of all the conditions you put around those.
Yeah.
So I'm going to, I know what I want to say, but I'm going to lead off with arugula. Can I do, I shouldn't have said arugula. I should have said mustards. I'm going to say mustards. Mustards.
Okay. Mustard greens.
Yeah, mustard greens. And the only reason why I switched is because I just think that arugula is still on the list, but I think that people probably prefer mustard greens as far as something to grow and eat.
I don't know a lot of people that like mustard greens.
Really?
I
Do you know more people that like arugula?
I don't know anybody but you that likes arugula. Arugula is nasty.
All of these stores are putting it on their shelves with the hope that I'll come and buy it. Is that what you're
Matter of fact, if I meet somebody and they're like, I love arugula, I tell them, we are not friends. Don't come around me.
Yeah. You only have room for one friend.
That's it.
That likes arugula. That's it. No more. You're the draw line. Yeah.
No, I like, and it's funny you bring up mustard greens because I haven't planted my mustard greens yet. I still need to get them in the ground, and I need to get them in soon because the clock is ticking. But yeah, mustard greens I think is a really good one, and it's really frost hardy too.
Frost hardy. Again, we talk about this all the time. For these types of greens, you can harvest them at any size. I want my greens to have some size on them though when it comes to my mustards. Yeah, I mean, I think I'm not going to continue to rob from your list. I'll leave it at that. Mustards are a good one. If you enjoy mustards, if you have room and you want to give them a try, sure. They are similar to arugula in the sense of they can be, have a little bit more of a pepperier taste, depending on, the age of the plant. Younger plants are maybe less peppery. Older plants, for most varieties, I think,
well, there's the varieties are different spiciness too.
Yeah, there's some that, are really deemed for it to be absolutely spicy. Like every year I try to grow them. I forget which one I prefer for my seeds that I have. And it may not matter because now I'm trying to think about how old the seeds that I have are.
So Leonard loves mustard greens, loves them. And the first year I grew them, I wasn't really sure what to think about them. And I'm going to have to say I don't agree with you on the peppery taste. I find it more of a horseradish taste.
Yeah, I think you've described it before as like wasabi.
Yeah, wasabi, horseradish, same thing. It's a little bit of burn in the nose, which I really like. So I look for the spiciest varieties I can get because it adds a little bit of spice. You can chop it up, put it in a salad, you can saute it, whatever.
You're right. That was just my poor attempt to describe the taste.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it is more of a...
It's okay.
I don't know if I've ever had horseradish, but for sure for wasabi, I think that's more in line with it.
You've never had a horseradish?
No.
So I'm going to tell you a story, but I need you to go to the store and get horseradish and try it so you really understand it. But anybody out there who does, We grew horseradish when we lived in New England, and
Mm-hmm.
I got the root and I put it. I had always had horseradish, and this is actually when I really started to learn that like there's a big difference in what comes out of your garden. So I had always
Mm-hmm.
had horseradish, and it's a very cold tolerant plant as well. But I put it in the food processor and I processed it up, and I was like, damn, okay. And I took it out, and it lit me on fire. And my wife, I think she was about 7 months pregnant at the time. And I was like, come over here and smell this. And she stuck her head in there and took the biggest whiff of this horseradish. And it's just like wasabi. You know, your sinuses blow up and everything. She's like, oh my God, I'm going to go into labor. And I'm like, oh boy, here we go. Because I was terrified about that part of it too. But it
Mm-hmm.
was completely different than what you've ever gotten from the store. Way more pungent. So, not direct sowable. Okay. One other thing about mustard too that I find is when you start getting fluctuations in temperature, it can bolt really fast.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
it's slow in the bolting process. I've noticed that in comparison to other things.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that last bit, but for sure, it's definitely a. I'll wait to do the comparison because I feel like what I'm going to compare it to may also be on the list. So I'll come back around.
Okay. Well, let me give you my second one so we can stop dancing around it. Or my first one, excuse me. I'm going to go with the solid choice of bok choy. Okay. Should be nobody's surprise at this point. Yeah, I know you're trying to steal it. You know, I never say anything about collards on this show because I let you do it. You should give me the
Oh,
benefit for bok choy, just so you know,
oh,
because it's your favorite. So I always let you say. I never bring it up. It's never in a list. It's always a freebie for Batavia.
oh,
You
oh.
okay?
No, man. You know I'm having some eye trouble, and if I start, if there any level of tears, these things are gonna just shut close on me. That's so sweet.
Batavia got a seed
Thank
stuck in
you.
her eye yesterday. So,
Yeah, man. Direct sowable seed. It's not on
but
the list. I tell you that.
I went out and I direct sowed my bok choy. I got a little bit ahead. I did it a little bit early, but I did the bok choy, and then I'll go back and I'll do another round of it as well. So we'll give it a couple weeks, and then we'll come back and we'll do it again, with the idea of covering those because they're going to be a little bit more sensitive. But I've been really surprised. I know I've talked about it a couple times recently, but it's really solid grower. It's really fast. You can grow it and harvest it any size. I did a lot of research about bok choy, and apparently the baby bok choys that you get, like the varieties, are really not that much different than regular bok choy. So you don't even need to buy a special variety if you want smaller ones. You just harvest them small. You can harvest them big. The flavor, in my personal opinion, just doesn't really change that much. The greens may get a little tougher, but I mean, it is what it is, you know. And it's multi-use. You can eat the stems, you can eat the leaves, you can eat them together. I think it's a great crop.
I'm so glad we had this conversation because, or we're having this conversation because I have no intention on, coming back in for a second round of sewing anything. But to your point, I already have some bok choy sowed. As of this recording, it is 2 weeks old. It's come up. It has its true leaves. It's going to continue to grow. But I still have time to come in and do another round. And it succession sewing was not a part of my plan for this fall, but I have room for it. That's pretty cool. Thank you.
You're welcome. How dare you not have that part of your plan? What is the
Listen, man,
problem?
it's enough to get the main things in, let alone a second round of them.
Yeah, it's just and it you know, it's to nobody's surprise that it is a seed available in the seed shop as well for this exact reason, because it's quickly grown to be one of my favorite crops to grow in my garden, and it's totally shocked me. Never thought that would be the case.
Yeah, it's a beauty too.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna do, and I'll make the connection. So turnips is going to be my next one. So that's three for us all together. And I paused on naming it originally And the reason why I paused is because, the bulb development could be iffy. But the beauty of turnips is, there's a whole group of folks that never grow it for the actual root, that only grow it for the leaves. So it's similar to your mustards and, you know, mustards and turnips are a whole, like, that's a whole meal, like people, or at least a side, people cook them together. Um, and I feel like generally in the spring, turnips will bolt faster than mustards. That was the point that I was trying to get to that I held back on earlier. Um, so I did turnips this fall with the hope of harvesting the actual root, but I'll take the leaves.
Okay.
Um,
That's
and the
funny. I'm
difference
doing the
between those,
opposite of you.
really,
Yeah.
so the difference between those is, like sowing them in a cluster if you just want the greens versus giving them the proper space, 4 or 6 inches apart if you want the actual root. And
Go ahead.
the
Oh,
trick is you're kind of hedging your bets. So if I've spaced them to grow the root and I only am going to end up harvesting the leaves, I'm going to have just a few leaves. That's the whole
yeah.
tricky part about it.
I took a step back and I looked at. So first of all, I agree with you.
Mhm.
I think it's a great crop to grow, especially if you're doing it for the greens right now. I mean, it is what it is.
Mhm.
I took a look at my garden and I said, okay, I'm not growing kale this year because, quite frankly, I
Mhm.
just don't like kale. My whole family is like, really, please, let's just be done. So we're moving on from it. But I like to have a variety of greens. That's the thing. So I started looking at it and saying, well, what can I do differently? And I said, well, I like turnips, but I like rutabagas. They taste very similar. So let me grow my rutabagas, and then I'm just going to dump seeds in. I did it last year, and it worked out really good, but it was by accident. I wanted the roots, and I didn't get them. So this year, I'm going to lean into that mistake because I'd never grown them for the greens. The problem is
Mhm.
it takes, for me to do a double row, it takes a lot of seeds
Yeah.
to make greens. Because, I mean, I literally just dump them in.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
have that cedar, and I put in it. I don't know how many it was. It was probably 15 seeds an inch. It was crazy,
Mhm.
but it was
Mhm.
nothing but greens all winter long. Beautiful. So, and they're a little bit they have a little bit of spice to them as well. Little bit.
Yeah. 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 It's all for those. I think it's how big you let the greens get.
Yeah.
Because again, this is the glory of. I mean, technically, you can do a kind of cut and come again if you're harvesting the leaves, leaving the root in, it'll continue to produce. I like my turnips and my mustards to get a little bit of size on them. So don't think as big as if you've ever seen me grow collards. Maybe, a little bit smaller than my hand size or the
For
not
what,
so
the
average
leaf?
woman's hand size. Yeah.
You got big
I
hands?
feel like I have big hands. Yes.
Oh.
That's why you only see me. I'm talking like this,
Yeah.
so you don't see the full.
You ever watch that show Schitt's Creek?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So my wife the other day we were watching it. We've watched like 4 times, and she's like, "I'm gonna
Mhm.
start talking like this and using her hands like that, like what's her face does." Like, please don't do that. But I could see you doing that to
The
try and
daughter?
cover the size
Yeah.
of your hands.
Uh-huh.
I didn't think
When
you
I'm
ever had
doing
big hands.
videos, that's when I'm, doing videos over on Be Better Garden, if you wanna come and see, like, half of a shot of an actual vegetable and the other half of a big old hand, I got plenty of them for you.
So that's
My
why
whole
you,
spatial awareness is always a little bit off,
yeah,
like.
yeah. No, and I think
There's
if
a oh,
you,
wait, there's a third of those, a third of them are just like a finger that comes out of nowhere where I'm pointing at something.
I use David's
Oh,
hands,
yeah.
makes them look bigger.
Yeah, 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 okay, nicely done.
If I was growing them for greens out, or like this year, what I plan to do is do the opposite of what I would think and pump them with nitrogen for the turnips.
Mhm, mhm.
And then that'll help them to make more greens as well, and focus on greens instead of the root. So,
Yeah, I know, we're too far into the episode for this not to have come up. All of those things we've named so far, the even if you go back to arugula, which was the faux start of my list. So
Is that even
the
on your list?
it depends on how long we're gonna go.
Okay.
Stuff it into my back pocket. So the mustards, the bok choy, the turnips, they're all, prime eats for the cabbage worm.
Yeah.
So if I didn't have that problem, dude, they'd be everywhere in my garden because again, it's one of those things where it's hardy, it's going to produce leaf over leaf. A great way to get rid of some older seeds, to your point with what you did, or what you've done. But basically it's the how much am I willing to provide cover to these spaces. I have so many containers that I have transitioned from summer. I'd love just to sprinkle some of those plants in there, but here we are.
Yeah.
I think I'm only doing cover on two of my fall beds, like my insect netting cover. Everything else is gonna have I chased a stray cat out of one of my garden beds this morning.
You
By
did?
chase it, yeah, yeah. Thankfully, I looked out of the window to see her because otherwise I would have been nervous about what it was. But I
Mm.
kind of saw her kind of walking up, little video thing, climbs inside of the bed. It's one of those in the backyard that sits pretty low to the ground, and I saw her, kind of just quite literally getting herself, comfortable or getting prepared to do something else. And so here I am trying to shoo her at like 5:30,
She's
dark
about to
here.
poop all up in your garden.
Yeah, uh-huh.
All in
It
it.
was still dark here, and then the poor thing was trying to figure out where to go as I was trying to chase it away. Um, so yeah, that reminds me that I need to do the black netting that I do
Hmm.
because that bed has been exposed out to the wild for weeks now. So it's ironic that the first time I see some disturbance, it's actually me watching it happen. But again, I don't know how I got off. Oh, I brought that up because those are spaces where I'm going to grow non-cabbage moth or cabbage butterfly, cabbage worm things.
So you're lumping things together in garden beds that don't get affected by that?
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
I like that. I
Mhm,
like that.
mhm.
Well, for me, I my second one, and this could either be controversial or a gimme.
Yeah, here we go.
Lettuce. Which one is it?
I feel like it's controversial
Really?
only only because of the terrible luck I've had with direct sowing lettuce
Yeah.
and whatever is considered the fall. Like like a lettuce mix, like a mescaline mix, like a like that you're gonna harvest small for sure. I think you may have enough time, but I don't have enough time in my season to, as of this release of this video, to direct sow lettuce
You got 6
and it
weeks.
produce. I'm telling you, cooler temperatures, 6 weeks of
Yeah.
growth in my grow lights under my grow lights indoors is very different than 6 weeks of growth this time of year outside.
Yeah. I understand that. And I think this is where the differences in our two
Hmm.
areas come together, where I'm in North Carolina and you're in Illinois.
Hmm.
It's a big difference, but it is very tight, but they do well. They, if you put a cover over them, like off Jump
Hmm.
Street, so you don't let them get hit by a frost, they will continue to grow rather quickly. Especially if like the daytime temperatures are still warm, they won't really get bit back as hard. And I've had lettuce go really late into the year.
Hmm.
With cover, I've had them go down into the low 20s with
Hmm.
cover. Without
I can
cover,
see that.
probably the mid 20s. And at that point, I am pulling off the outside edges, but
Hmm.
I'm still harvesting and they're not ruined. But if I get repeated days like that, then that would kind of be the downfall of them. But if I put the cover on them, I don't have that issue. So I think it's a good one. And it's one of the ones that I feel like lettuce is just a must for the garden.
Yeah. Don't we oftentimes describe lettuce as crisp? It doesn't that absolutely scream fall, right? Yeah. So I'm not direct sowing my lettuce, not again this year. I have a bunch of transplants that I'm putting in. And so it's a great crop to grow for fall. But based on my timing, I probably could have direct sowed lettuce maybe a month ago and felt good about it. Because while we have again a similar average first frost date, the weather is going to be generally pretty cold even after that date for me,
Yeah.
where you have still, remember, lettuce wants to grow in the cooler temps, cooler, I said, versus, it being at a temperature in your 30s and 40s as your highs that will stall the plant for growing in my area. I think you get just enough cool weather to allow that plant to continue to grow if you direct sowed it. So yeah, it's an excellent example. I like that it's right in the middle of the list. Excellent example of how our fall is different.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think it's a good one. I mean, the problem I have with lettuce here is I struggle because of the heat in the fall.
Yeah.
So, but after that, it's great. You just you got to pick your battle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's a fairly quick grower. You don't have to, unless you're growing iceberg or something. You don't have to wait for the head to form. You can harvest it anytime. I will say romaine lettuces do better than leaf type lettuces.
Interesting.
Leaf type lettuces, they, in my experience, are more sensitive and they get burnt back really easy with the
Oh,
cold.
okay. 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 Do better in that sense. Yeah. No, I
Yeah.
agree. Um, it's just more air surface that they're exposed to, the leaf-like lettuces are.
Well, they're very limp too.
I It's hard for me, and each time I've had a fall garden without lettuce, I kind of feel like I'm missing out.
Yeah.
Remember, I'm one that's eating lettuce all throughout the year. So anytime I'm not growing it, I'm buying it. And it's a stinger to know that it's something that you could absolutely have in your garden or from your garden, and you kind of miss that. So if you've not grown it before and you're maybe closer in proximity to young being than me, I'd say absolutely try to direct sow it. If you are closer to me, the Midwest or the North, if you insist on trying to direct sow it, I'd highly recommend, instead of trying to grow individual plants, do a cluster of lettuce. We give you a bunch of lettuce seeds when you buy them from our shop. Every place I've ever bought lettuce from, it's like, could I ever go through all of this lettuce? So
Yeah.
that's an option for you.
You know what's
Um,
funny? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
to your point, just to wrap up there, to your point though, like heavily sowing them and sowing them in clusters creates that effect of leaf lettuce versus the actual like a romaine plant, even if you do it for a romaine,
Yeah.
so there's that.
Yeah. You know what's funny is I used to think that like I'm never going to use all these seeds. And now I find myself going through seeds a lot faster because the way I've planted's changed where I'm planting more of less. And so I find that I'm
I can
actually
see that.
going through seeds now.
Yeah, I
Because I
can
was
see that.
thinking about it, I was like, I bought a pack of rutabaga seeds, grew them every year, and threw out half of them 5 years later. And so I was looking, I was like, why don't I just grow more? You know what I mean? Like, what's the problem here? And it's just,
Yeah,
it's kind of weird.
it's interesting, and we touched on this just briefly. This is some months back, like the plants that you intentionally plant many of versus those that you plant few of.
Yeah.
Right, beans are a good example, for the summer. I think anything we've talked about prior to lettuce is a good example of you may plant many of, because is it really worth it if you only get, one or two?
Yeah.
I mean, anything you have your garden is great, but was that really your intention? Probably not.
We've done a lot of garden planning content.
Mhm.
I think over the winter time, in between all the seed starting and all that stuff. Yeah, get
Mhm.
ready, Leonard. I think we should, and we'll have to discuss this later, but I think we should talk about like designing gardens. Like, not, I don't know how to phrase it right now, but it's like you said, like growing more and like really figuring out how much to grow, but what does that look like in your garden?
Mhm. Mhm.
Like right now I'm growing probably 12 rutabagas. And as I sit back and look at that, I'm thinking to myself, I don't think that's going to be enough by any stretch. Now we don't eat a lot of them, but even
Hmm.
still, and I'm looking at it and I'm like, okay, we eat a lot of Brussels sprouts, but we've only got one bed planted. Why didn't I plant another bed? What am I doing here? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And so
yeah,
something along those lines.
yeah. There, you know, what I know I suffer from is wanting such a level of diversity in the garden. Sometimes I sacrifice the things I really enjoy to grow, to leave room for some of the things that I enjoy, but not as much. It's
Yeah.
kind, I kind of want it all, right? And for the space I have, that's not always realistic.
Yeah.
You and I were talking about this yesterday, and it's would I be happier with 20 rutabagas, and 15 lettuce plants. Lettuce is tricky too because if you compare those two rutabagas, which I don't grow in the fall, I haven't actually grown it in a number of years, and I do enjoy it, but it's such a long season crop for me. Sometimes I just pass it by. But I love lettuce. I love the look of it. I love to enjoy it. And a heading lettuce will be in my crisper for a while. It can stay in the garden for a while. It can be in my crisper for a while. But something like a rutabaga, I'm gonna get more mileage as far as from time to basically maturity to harvest to when I really need to consume it.
Yeah.
And so if you look at it by that kind of, logic, it would say kind of, do I want to get the most mileage out of my garden in the fall? Well, I should be growing something like more rutabagas. Or you could even use turnips as an example. More turnips than more lettuce. Because there's also this bit of how quickly I could get through lettuce too, which ties into it. Boy, I was working hard this spring. I'm trying to tell you, I was dipping lettuce leaves in my coffee. I was,
Oh, you
it
had a
was
lot of lettuce?
everywhere. Yeah, I had a lot of lettuce. I
I've done
had,
that
and
before. And
yeah,
it does. I think it's better to have too much than too little. You don't ever want to look back and be like, "Damn, I wish I would have."
it's if there is no other choice, then yeah, that definitely does apply. But if there was something else that could have been in, so I didn't do that much lettuce. I didn't feel like it, but I felt like I had a lot of lettuce.
Yeah,
Now the key was I had like maybe a half a dozen romaine, like Paris Island romaine, which did really well, and those keep. So when I got to the point of I was pulling it out because I was afraid of it bolting. That's key in the spring,
yeah,
where that won't be the case in the fall, but I am doing less heading lettuce in the fall because of kind of the time, even with my transplants.
yeah. And if you're
Or at least that
wondering,
was my plan.
if the listener is wondering, this conversation was started yesterday, but we were recording next week's podcast when it came up. So I can't remember exactly what we were talking about because there's lots happened since now and then, but I do know this, that it is completely messed with the way that I'm thinking about things, and I'm starting to, I don't want to say second guess, but I'm going back to the drawing board. And what I feel like that conversation started for me was like the next evolution of my garden, where it's
Dude,
like I need to figure out, and it happened again when we were talking about mustards, because I always eat my mustards, and every year I plant one row, and I get to a point and I'm like, I need more mustard, but in the next year I plant another dang row, and I don't
yeah.
understand why I do that, but I do it. I'm stubborn, so it's like I need to figure it out.
Dude, that conversation had me up at 5:30 this morning working on a spreadsheet. Like for real. Like and this
Everybody's
was really primarily for 2026,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, because at this point, you're almost too late. I mean, I
Mhm.
have a little bit of changing I can do, but um, it's a little too
Yeah.
late. But we need to get to your next one.
All right. So my next one is you never talk about this one. Spinach. Spinach.
Because I hate it. I hate growing it.
Yeah, I almost want to dump it into the love-hate relationship. I
Mm-hmm.
don't feel about spinach like I feel about like your summer squash, where every year I threaten to like not bother with it. Spinach is almost one of those every other year successes. And I mean, sure, there's probably a rhyme or reason, but I look up and I'm not sure. I had like 3 years ago, I had a wonderful spinach fall planting and harvest. Um, Last year I didn't. There was one year I sowed seeds for spinach and I had to go back and look at like surveillance videos to make sure I actually sowed the seeds. Like nothing came up. And I'm like, did I ever really go out there? I kept on looking and looking and looking for it. So that's the gardener primarily.
Well, that's a
Spinach
problem with
is
spinach.
spinach is that's a gardener probably doing too much and trying to squeeze things in, and deciding in the last minute, no, I'm going to put spinach here. That wasn't necessarily a plan. Um, it is super cold hardy. It's one of those things where every time I've tried to start it indoors, it always bolts before it can get outside.
Yep.
So it definitely, I've seen some people transplant it, but again, I don't know their conditions. Um, it's a quick grower from the point of germination if you remember to actually plant the seeds. Like I'm thinking that year I didn't. Like not a single seed came up. So that had to be the gardener. Super cold hardy. Again, one of those things you can harvest at any size. This is not a part of the criteria for this, but it's one of those crops that probably has a better chance at even overwintering if you want it. Um, Yeah, man. The only downside, and this has nothing to do with it being kind of one of the better crops for direct sowing, is it's just by nature. It's not like your bok choy. You get more mileage out of your bok choy.
Yeah.
I typically eat spinach this time of year as a raw veggie to feel like I get more out of it than cooked. Similar to the previous conversation, which you'll hear next week, I'd have to do like my entire garden full of spinach to
That's
really
my
like
problem.
cook up some
I
spinach.
mean, that's my problem is I physically can't grow enough.
Mm.
You do you know why it didn't germinate? Because I
Dude,
do.
I'm not convinced I sold it.
Okay, well
I,
that could be a problem, but
yeah, I mean, I feel like they would have been newer seeds back then. This is a handful of years ago. It's been since 2019 because I did it in the front yard bed. Um, I
so
can't honestly remember if it was spring or fall because there's a chance that they rotted.
so
But
here's the deal with spinach is spinach will not germinate if it's too warm. It just won't. And so what ends up happening is at the same time you're watering it and then you cause it to rot because it's sitting in the ground and refuses to germinate. I don't
mm,
know if that's a testament to how cold hardy it is. I mean, I'm not saying it's going to sub-zero temperatures or anything, but much to your point, I do agree that it is a very cold hardy plant.
mhm.
So yeah, it will not germinate if it's too hot, which is why I hate growing it. It always bolts in my house.
Yeah,
This
same.
year, I'm going to start it in the greenhouse and see if that helps, and then we can move it out. But otherwise, I don't like growing it, and that's why I never bring it up.
I'm dedicating almost a full bed to it this year, direct sowing it, and I'm like standing over it, like ready to threaten it if it doesn't grow. Because I mean that's prime real estate.
You're gonna love
Um,
harvesting out of the middle of that bed, all bent over, reaching and all that to get those little tiny
that's my
plants out
life with
there.
everything I'm harvesting. It's a 3.5 feet
Oh, okay.
bed, so it's not
It's not
that deep.
terrible.
Yeah, I mean, but I am gonna sit on a crate and lean over. So yeah, I mean, I think I need to get. It's just like a lot of other things. I need to get like this space for fall. I've had the success once or twice for fall and spinach under my belt because next year we've already hinted at, you know, there's some guidelines that, there's gonna be a little bit stricter with some things next year. So shoot.
Well, yeah, yeah. I think
I mean,
we
that's you kind of go back to from what the thing we've been hinting at, the thing that we kind of talk about next week, and the thing we've been hinting at in this conversation. Spinach, based on beside it being hardy, but when you talk about quantity, when you talk about space that it takes um, for you to grow a larger quantity, there's an argument to be made that it shouldn't even be on my list, right?
what would be interesting is if we both grew an entire bed of it And
Mm.
no matter how you eat it, and just see if like one full bed of spinach would meet your satisfaction. Like if you could, because I enjoy cooked spinach. I
I do
like
too.
to
I do
eat it
too.
cooked. So would that satisfy my need as one full bed, well spaced, tightly packed, like it's supposed to be? How would that do? I would be interesting to see.
Yeah, because like if one bed isn't enough, good grief, you know.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing is, if one bed's not, because one row is absolutely not enough.
No. Mm-mm.
So
Mm-mm.
it's like if a bed's not enough, then what's the point in even growing it in your garden?
One row, and I've grown it in that small bed when you first walk into the front yard, and it's exactly that. Like it's going to be added to some other things that you're making.
Yeah.
It's not going to be a full side.
It's not the full ingredient, it's the side ingredient. It's an ingredient, not the, yeah, it's a side of a side.
This, I'm going to, I don't know, put it, I don't even know what I would add it to baked potato. That doesn't sound good. Like it's not going to be the primary side because I'm just not going to have enough out of it. So then I'm going to be trying to stretch it. It's a whole thing. So anyway, but I've committed to that's the one thing I've been certain about for a good while. Not necessarily where, because I've swapped the beds out as far as where I'm growing it, but that I've committed a full bed to it. The only thing I think I was thinking about doing differently was on the edge of the bed. I can't even remember. I have to look back at my notes what I had planned on planting in that space. But now it just may be all spinach.
Yeah. Okay. So I feel kind of bad because I feel like you gave one and then we just totally like dumped on it the whole time. Spinach, we love you, but we hate you so bad we're going to grind you right into the ground.
You're gonna believe. Wait, I said I think it's like 6 or 7 beds that I have for fall, and I'm dedicating one of it. But I'm begrudgingly doing so. I'm just trying to prove myself either wrong or right. Like
How big is the bed you're using?
it's the 10 foot by 3.5 foot one. It's the one that had the broccoli in the spring and the
Okay.
corn in the summer. And so I'm coming back in with a less demanding crop, is what my mind is telling me for spinach. It is in a super sunny spot. So I'm trying to manage that. Like, obviously, less sun, less sun, less sun.
Right.
So it's just going to be about keeping it watered initially. You are right in that, our temperatures are pretty cool, but it's that whole I may be in a sweet spot to get it to germinate based on how cool things are,
Yeah.
hence the layers.
Yeah, well, take advantage of the cool weather while you got it. Because once you get it to germinate, then
Yeah.
I don't want to say it doesn't matter, but it does. It definitely takes the pressure away from it, and then all you got to worry about is bolting. But with the way your temperatures are, as they continue to fall,
Mhm.
overall trend continue to go down, it shouldn't be that much of an issue.
Yeah. You okay
Okay.
there?
Yeah, my eyes bother me, but that's okay.
Mhm.
I injured my eye a long time ago, and it gets dry from time to time.
Oh yeah, yeah. We've talked about that. Yeah.
Um, Okay, so my last one is not one I'm definite about, so I wanted to have a little bit of a conversation about it if you're cool with
Hmm.
that. I have gone through this year and I am bound and determined to like beets. I know it's one of those that is preferably direct sowed.
Hmm.
And I put them in the garden, and I wanted to get your opinion on it because I know you grow beets right regular, don't you?
Well, this year I went all in on beets, and I probably have grown them a handful of years prior to that, and just not been crazy about the taste, so it didn't always make my list. But this year I kick butt with beets. So yes, please do ask.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's just open conversation about it because I was looking at, and by the numbers,
Uh
it's
huh.
actually not a bad choice. By the numbers,
This
I
is.
just don't have the practical experience in fall
Mhm.
growing it, which is why I'm doing it. Because if it's not a family favorite, I don't
Yeah.
need to dedicate 2 seasons to it.
Yeah.
And as you'll hear in the next episode, we kind of talked about how fall is kind of like an season. And
Mhm.
one of the things about that is it's a good test season.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
if it's not something I really really like, but it's something that will store for a long time, so that's good. It's
Yeah.
super healthy for you. Unfortunately, it just tastes like a pile of dirt, but that's just something we're gonna have to deal with.
So I think that it's gonna grow similar to if you're growing turnips for the bottoms,
Okay.
right? Spacing wise, so you're gonna get as many. You can't get as many. I grew a cylindra. No need to go out and get in their seeds. It's cylindra, I think it's how it's pronounced. and it's like a cylinder, right? And so that gives you more space. It's not round like your other beets. I direct sow my beets in the spring. Actually, through thinning, transplanted some beets, and they did very well in the spring. The nice thing about them is, for sure, tops and bottoms. You get a better chance at enjoying the tops in the fall because you don't have that heat and the idea of it being, those greens being tattered. So
Yeah.
you can get 2 for 1 from them. I think you still have time. I think, that I think it's a good addition if you enjoy them.
Well, it's in the garden. So I've grown in the past Detroit Reds.
Mhm.
I've grown golden beets. I don't know what it was. I've grew a Buddha golden beet, and I've grown Chayoga, which is what
Mm.
I've sowed already. It's like a candy striped on the inside.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
the first time I grew it, I think I sowed like 3, and I harvested 1. And I cut it, and it sure enough, it has red rings in it.
Mhm.
They
Mhm.
all tasted the same,
Interesting.
so
Yeah.
it didn't matter, the taste. But at the same time, we know they're really healthy for you, and I've kind of been looking for something to add in to the garden.
Mhm.
It's just
Mhm.
another thing that we can do. You can buy them at the store here, but it's not very common. So it's just another one
Mm.
of those crops.
Interesting.
We've
Yeah.
already direct sowed them, so we'll see. They haven't germinated yet, but it's just I think, like I said, I looked at the numbers. I believe it was a 70-day crop. So if we go back to what the stipulations were for this, it's a frost hardy. It will
Mhm.
go past your frost date. So within those 70 days, roughly, and you and we all know it's more like 80 to 90. But
Yeah.
even 90 days, that puts us at this point from the recording of this episode, which is almost the airing of this episode, a month out from or 2 months out from our frost date. So a month past our frost date, we could be harvesting. We're going to be covering beds anyways. So I'm thinking that it's going to go right in line. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think so for you, a minimal of like 1 row. How many did you do?
How many did I do in the row?
How many did you sew altogether? Was it 1 row?
I did a double row. So I probably did right around 20 in that row.
I think I did beets this year in that 4x4 bed
Mm-hmm.
in between my onions.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, I'm not one to say I'm gonna convince you to eat a thing that you don't enjoy. You're right. I did the cylinder was a red beet. I grew the Detroit, what is it called? Detroit.
Detroit Red, I think.
Yeah. As earthy gets. That
Yeah.
was I don't know if I could do it some years ago. I felt like the cylinder was maybe not as earthy, or maybe my taste buds have just changed. The golden beet is less earthy, but still earthy. I've
Yeah.
only roasted them this year. I really enjoy them. But the taste is pretty close when it comes to how close they taste together. So it's kind of like how much does that variety really matter and change? But I did notice, I mean, I feel like this is the time because what I did notice is a lot of the packets say you can direct sow them all throughout the growing season, including the summer. The ones that I sowed in the summer really didn't develop a bulb. So it's either the heat or the place that I sowed them, kind of the lack of sun, maybe because there were some shadier spots. I don't know. But I got some beautiful bulbs going back to the spring, and I'm expecting the same for the fall. So I think it's a nice addition. Minimally, if you find that you, again, really don't enjoy the root of it, I wouldn't recommend it for you to continue to grow it, but there's still
Well,
the leaves. They're basically charred leaves. So we also know how you feel about those.
yeah, I don't mind chard at all, but
Mhm.
the reason why we want to eat beets is because beets add oxygen to your blood. And
Mhm.
in periods of high activity, i.e., surfing for me
Mhm.
personally, or I'm going to start getting back on, I'm training for a bike packing trip, and I need to get
Oh,
back on the
cool.
bike. So,
Mhm.
that will help with that. If you take even a quarter of a beet and you put it in a smoothie, I've noticed it when I was doing triathlons and stuff like that. It makes
Mhm.
a huge difference. You can feel the difference. So that's why we want to do it. And it's not it kind of gets to the thing, like if I'm going to be doing this trip that I'm hopefully training to do, it's going to have to be a staple to some extent, not a daily thing, but hey, we're going to do this. We need this, so it's just part of it. And it's what we do. Foods are superfoods. Those are your supplements. Try not to rely on vitamins and pills and stuff like that. I'm not talking about prescription medication, but as far as like supplements and protein powders and stuff like that, we try to rely on food for that instead. And beets fall
like those
right in that
things
category.
taste good anyway.
Yeah. They do. You just get used to it. That's all. And that's how, look, if I can drink a protein powder, I can eat a beet. You know what I mean? I just get used to it. Just suck it up, So, okay, enough of all that. That is direct sowable seeds. This was our list for the best direct sowable seeds for this time in fall. You can still get a harvest and enjoy them. But I do have to take a second and tell you that we are sponsored by the Planter app. If you'd like to get the Planter app and you'd like to design an amazing garden easily, then you can use the link below to get yourself a discount on the lifetime membership. If you don't believe me, just go get it and test it and see if you like it. Just play with it. It's so visual. They've expanded it now. It used to be so you could only do smaller gardens, and now my entire garden, which is spaced out pretty far, is all in one page now. So it is really nice to have. It's square foot, very visual. The animation, or not the animations, but the artwork is pretty on it too. It's just kind of cool. Nice, simple, sleek, lots of information packed within the app. So check out the Planter app. That's the Planter app. I didn't want you to think it was Planner. And it's available in the Google and Apple Play Store, and you can use it on all of your devices.
Let's see if I can get the bell in here without showing my big hand.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Got both of them in the shot. Did I tell you about how much I love, we briefly talked about it, but how much I love going back to a single garden season for my plan. So I took the original plan for my garden, and I had it color coded to represent each season I was growing in. And it was a lot going on, but I really loved looking at it that way. But then I pulled back. So all the years I've been using it, I've never used it as this is a single bed or this is a single season. So this year I took that full plan. It has both my front yard and backyard laid out on one garden plan, but with the focus of I'm only planting for a single season. What does that look like? And that provided so much clarity. It's funny how, I don't know, simplifying a thing makes things easier sometimes.
Funny how that works. It happens. All right, look, we don't actually have a question today. We have more of a statement.
Okay.
A suggestion. We'll call it a suggestion.
Yeah.
Debbie.
Hey, Debbie. Hold on, wait. Both hands.
Hey, girl. You got both hands on that one. Thankfully, she sent a video onto the Facebook Community Gardens Facebook group, which you're welcome to join if you'd like to. On the August 27th episode, this is based on what she wrote, I asked about vining flowers. And she sent a video, she posted a video of a cardinal flower vine. Very beautiful. It was an annual, and the annual was insanely large. So it must be a very vigorous grower. I can see Batavia searching it out right now.
I'm listening.
I looked it up. So there's a cardinal flower, but then there's a cardinal flower vine. So if you want a vine, you got to put vine at the end of it. The cardinal flower is native to North America, but the cardinal flower vine apparently is a hybrid not native to anywhere. So if I had to say, since the cardinal flower is native to here, it's probably native-ish to here. So it's very interesting, very cool looking plant, full sun. Zone
Mm-hmm.
10 and above. So, anything below zone 10, which is where this exactly matters, zones do for this exact conversation. It's very important because that will be killed off at the end of the season. But it grows fast, so cool. It'll fill up the trellises. So I just appreciated that, and thank you, Debbie, for sending that in. Always looking for vining flowers, and preferably that are native. But I looked it up on Spruce, which is my all-time favorite website for looking up stuff about flowers and whatnot. Spruce is great. It sends you down a rabbit hole, a dangerous rabbit hole about growing stuff. But it had all the information out, so it was really cool to see that. And it did say that it could be aggressive in laying seeds, so just be careful about that. But I'm starting to figure that most of these annuals, Batavia, they're all going to be pretty vigorous in laying seeds. I mean, that's the whole point of
Oh
an
yeah, their whole
annual.
job, yeah, their whole life goal. So I can't hear Debbie if she's talking on the video, but I can see it, and it kept going and going. I'm kind of like, where's she? That I think that's going from like maybe the front to the back or the back to the front
Yeah.
because it's going over the fence. She has a hibiscus in front of it, so that's the big flower. These small red ones, it makes me feel like Christmassy, doesn't it?
Nah, if you look at it up close, like if you Google it, it's more of a tropical look. And the cool thing is it makes a trumpet flower, which
Yeah, yeah,
naturally
yeah.
brings in hummingbirds. So,
Oh,
yeah,
cool.
we've got a lot of hummingbirds in our yard, and we don't have a hummingbird feeder at all. It's all on the
I
flowers we have.
I don't remember you asking this because I mean August
You
27th
ignore me when I
episode.
talk.
We could have recorded that 3 years ago. I don't know. Um, I gotta move stuff out to make room for the new stuff that's coming in as far as ideas and chats and all. But I just love this. Not only did Debbie come in and say, "Hey, this is a suggestion for a flower," drop the video, man. Hold on. Let me get my big hands out here. Hold on. One more time for Debbie. Super helpful.
Yeah, so
My mind really quickly immediately goes to, and this is a condition. I immediately looked and said, I wonder where I could put that.
yeah. Well, see, I've got 3 trellises that I want to put flowers on, and one of them I've been trying on 2 of them really, but one of them in particular I've really tried and nothing will grow on it. So I'm gonna have to figure it out. The only downfall with it is for my yard is it requires regular watering. So
Mm-hmm.
I can put it in one place because it's on the timer, but then like other place that I have, I probably can't put it because I don't water it enough. I need to make it a point to water my front yard garden more than I do, other than like the 3 times a year that I do.
So I have a vision of it. Think of like the wedding trellis, like that kind of ornamental one. I want to put something like that up as you walk into my front yard. So you open the gate. I mean, I show this all the time on YouTube, so I'm fine with sharing it here. You open the gate, and then there's this trellis, and I want to do it for the purpose of flowers. But I don't want to pay what I've seen the prices are for those. It has to be sturdy because my mail people, delivery people are coming in and out of that. Then also has to be tall enough where people aren't getting hit in the head with stuff that's growing.
Yeah.
But that's my vision of it. Um, so yeah, that's it pushes me a little bit further to maybe how many years am I? I've been on this for a while.
Yeah,
Maybe past the 3 year point.
my
Thinking
front
about
yard one, I want an evergreen on my arch. I have an arch in the front yard.
mhm,
It's not a cattle panel, it's a hog panel. So it's
mhm,
half the width. And so we put that up, and I would love to have something that's evergreen there,
mhm.
because then it's always some kind of structure up
Yeah.
there. But I had jasmine up there, man, and it's still there, but it's not. I mean, it's
Yeah.
3 years old at this point, and I'm like, man, this is all you grew. Like, what's the story? Like I mean, it's like you go somewhere and you see it, and it's like, man, it's so beautiful. It must be 50 years old. It's got to be.
There's something about, for my hot weather. So I do a lot of annuals, but like my perennials, my favorites are the hibiscus. Like I saw Debbie had at least one plant there, but they bloom such a short time, and I've never stopped. I bet if I fertilized it a little bit more, I could probably get a little bit more out of that plant. But that's almost a do nothing to it area in my garden, and some space has to be that the front yard flower bed. And these last few years, the sunflowers have continued to volunteer. But I always kind of get a little bit, sad around flowers and annuals in particular that don't give me the full growing season.
Yeah.
Right. Lilies are a great example of not the day lilies, but any other lily. It's going to come and it's going to go, you
So
know.
there's a restaurant by where we live, and we go there, and you can sit outside. It's really nice. It's very well decorated, and it's in a huge garden. It's all landscaped and everything.
Mhm.
Tropical feeling. It's all leaves. And I went there a couple years ago. I may have even said it on the show. I don't know. But I remember I sat there and I was looking around, and I was like, you know what? Flowers aren't where it's at.
Mm.
This is something different. Like a flower here and there, but different shapes and sizes and everything. It was really amazing to see. And as more and more I look around at that, I like that more, because the problem I have with flowers is unless you meticulously plan it out, you're going to have periods where, it's not going to look good or something like that. And it's like, okay, great. This flower is bloom, but this one hasn't. And then this one's dead and this one's not. And it's too much for my mind. I can't handle it.
I told you that I finally met the owners of that space that I stalk.
Yeah.
I literally have pictures from like 2019. I've been stalking this place for that long. It's one of those, I love their yard. It's not my general style of planting at all. I drive by it on the days that, I'm maybe feeling a little bit down, and it always perks me up. And every year I could see they've expanded and expanded. So when I finally met them, because I was out like most times I don't get out of the car, but this time I did get out of the car because, again, anyway. And so I met them, and then they showed me the backyard, and I would have never guessed. But I bring it up because there were so few flowers. There were a lot of trees, a lot of trees, a lot of bushes, a lot of hedges, so much life. And they live in the same Chicago I live in, so most of that stuff, there were some evergreens there, but a lot of that stuff is going to die, and it's just the structure in the winter. But to think about how big those things get in a single growing season is wild. Like, I don't know. I like the prettiness of flowers too much, and what they have can be considered pretty as well. But I need like two or three more houses to do that.
Yeah. I like bushes that have flowers dispersed in them. And when the flowers
Mhm.
die, the bush is still there and it doesn't change. That's what I like.
We went a full episode without a fungus gnat, and here we are.
There we go. Well, that's good, because since Batavia said a full episode, I think we should end this one right here. Go direct sow some seeds. Support the show where you can. We would love to have you on all of our platforms. Any of them, come see us on YouTube. Watch a video and subscribe. And thank you so much. And remember, on this show, we do two things: we learn to grow, and we grow for change.
Big hands. See ya.